Today, on this special Election Day edition of NewsTeam Boulder, we will give you a special look at Proposition 118, traveling during the pandemic, and of course, everything you need to know about the election. All of this right here on NewsTeam Boulder. Welcome to NewsTeam Boulder. I'm Chloe Henson. It's Election Day, and 2020 also marks the 100-year anniversary of women's right to vote. Let's make it count, ladies. It's predicted that over 150 million people are voting this year. Vinay Simlot is here with some predictions and analysis.
Thanks, Chloe. Welcome to my big board. Let's take a look at the approval ratings right now because President Trump is an incumbent. Comparing him to the other incumbents that ran for re-election, Obama and Bush were both in the high 40s and the 60s. Trump is closer to Jimmy Carter, who was at 45.5%, and then George H.W. Bush at 34%. Now, both of them ended up losing their bid for re-election. Now, let's look more at the Electoral College map to see whether President Trump actually has a chance at this one. And it looks like these are the states that are up for grabs right now. And the reason that I've put them as up for grabs is because they're either very close in polling or within the margin of error. So if we move on to the next one, we can see that Joe Biden is pretty far ahead in Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan. So it looks like he'll win those. President Trump seems like he has a good chance of winning Iowa and Ohio. So if that holds, you can see the numbers right here. Joe Biden has 259, President Trump at 187. Now, there are a few ways that Joe Biden could win this. Right, so if Joe Biden wins Arizona and either Georgia or North Carolina, then he's got the 270 he needs. Or he has to win Florida or Pennsylvania. And now let's look at the polling to see how close he is to winning that. He's ahead in all of these states. Now remember, in 2016, the state polling was off by about 3%. So President Trump has a chance of winning all of these states. The question for President Trump is, will he win all of these states? And that's what he has to do to get to 270. But Joe Biden could win all of these states very easily and win the 270. So that's set for now. Let's look at the Senate. The Republicans have the majority in the Senate right now with 53 seats. Democrats have 47. They would need to flip 3 seats and win the White House, or flip 4 seats to get the majority in the Senate. Let's start with Colorado here locally. Cory Gardner, the incumbent, is only at 44% polling right now. John Hickenlooper is at 52%. So Hickenlooper's up by 8. He's got a pretty healthy lead. The next one is Arizona, where Martha McSally, again the incumbent, is losing to Scott Kelly, who used to be an astronaut and is married to Gabby Giffords in the state. He's up. He's got a healthy lead at 7 points now, too. The next one is North Carolina. Tom Tillis, the incumbent, his lead is pretty narrow. It's within the margin of error to Cal Cunningham. He's a Marine, but he had a sex scandal that came up in North Carolina. Doesn't seem like it's hurt him too much. And then in Georgia, Kelly Loeffler is running as the incumbent for her seat, but this is a special election because she was appointed to that seat. She's only at 27% right now. Now remember that this is a special election, so there are multiple candidates running in this one. Doug Collins, a well-known Republican from Georgia, is also running for this seat, so he's splitting the vote with Loeffler right now. The Democrats might be able to retake this seat. And in Maine, Susan Collins, the moderate Republican, is losing by about 2 points right now. That, again, is within the margin of error, so she has a chance at this seat, too. But if the polling holds, this is Alabama. Doug Jones is the incumbent. He's a Democrat. And then there's Tommy Tuberville, who was a football coach, and he's running as a Republican. He's up by 12 points. So if this polling holds, if we think what's going to happen happens, the Republicans will gain 1 seat. That's that Alabama Senate seat, which is reliably Republican. And then the Democrats could gain up to 5 seats. That would give them the majority. Now, more locally, there are a few propositions on the ballot, 113, 115, and 118. It looks like Proposition 113 is very close. That's the national popular vote proposition. So that means electoral votes in Colorado will go to whoever wins the popular vote. Proposition 115 is the 22-week abortion ban. This one is also very close. It seems like the noes have a lead in the polling right now. And then Proposition 118 is not close at all, and this is about the Paid Family and Medical Leave Act, and this is something that I looked more into earlier this week. As she waits for today's election results, Kayla Smith has a personal connection to a ballot initiative, Proposition 118. It came back in 2017 when she got the diagnosis, ovarian cancer. Kayla would need surgery, but she wasn't worried about the cancer or the treatment.
What I was worried about is if I'd have a job and how I would pay my bills if I wasn't able to work.
After surgery, Kayla's doctor told her she would need to take at least 6 weeks off of work to recover. But after 4 weeks, Kayla says she couldn't afford to stay home any longer.
How do you survive if you're living paycheck to paycheck without getting a paycheck?
Her short recovery forced her back into the operating room. She says her abdomen didn't heal fully. Now she's asking voters to say yes to Proposition 118, the ballot initiative that would help people with situations like hers. The plan is to set up an insurance program in Colorado requiring every employee to pay 0.45% of their salary, and every business with more than 10 employees to match that, guaranteeing 12 weeks of paid family or medical leave to every employee in Colorado.
What this would really do is allow people the time to care for themselves and their loved ones without having to worry about their paycheck.
In 2018, a similar bill in the Colorado legislature failed because of business opposition. Now, it's at the ballot box.
There's a mandate on businesses.
Tell you, this is really a job killer.
Opponents say the plan is equivalent to another tax, and it makes it more expensive for companies to hire new workers. The Denver Post agrees, arguing, even though the payroll tax wouldn't hit businesses until 2023, we think the future threat of a 0.9% fee on employees' salaries would slow business growth, especially when many small businesses are struggling because of COVID. But for Kayla, it comes down to a simple question of values.
Whether we want to be a society that values human life and human dignity, or if we want to be a society that values profit over people.
And the people will get to decide tonight. Vinay Simlot, NewsTeam Boulder.
Thank you, Vinay. Education is an issue of much debate this election season, and both candidates have their own opinions on how to improve our current system. NewsTeam's Christina Robin has more on the story.
The clock is ticking, and if you're still unsure about each presidential candidate's educational plans, we have the breakdown for both the Republican and Democratic parties.
President Donald Trump suggests the promotion of school choice and an increase in access to charter schools. He is promoting the patriotic education curriculum and proposed a 2021 budget to nix the public service loan forgiveness program. Joe Biden is advocating to make public colleges and universities tuition-free for students with family incomes under $125,000. He wants to make 2 years of community college free and cancel $10,000 of every American's student debt. Colorado schools are primarily funded by a combination of state funds and local property taxes. So instead of just focusing on the next president, one way to increase the education budget is to vote yes on Proposition EE.
This increases tax on all tobacco and e-cigarette products, which helps funding for public schools, as well as providing universal preschool programs for all Colorado students. Today is the last day to vote, so get out here by 7 p.m. Christina Robin, NewsTeam Boulder.
Thank you, Christina. Coming up after the break, recent coronavirus spikes have people concerned over potential closures, and we'll tell you how to cast your vote safely.
Don't wait. Communicate. Make your emergency plan today.
Welcome back to NewsTeam Boulder. There's been a small spike in the number of COVID-19 cases with Boulder residents who are affiliated with the university. As of today, we have 5 new positive test results and 67 positive cases in total. This comes after a week with a flattened curve. Currently, we are trending upward, and after the Halloween weekend, we can definitely expect that trend to continue. Boulder had a pretty wild Halloween weekend. The Boulder Daily Camera reports that local police issued 22 citations for health order violations and nuisance parties, and broke up approximately 8 parties over the course of the weekend. So far, it looks like none of the citations were given out to homes under the October stay-at-home order sanctioned by the city. But the ticketed individuals will have to appear in municipal court, and this offense is punishable by up to 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. The Interfraternity Council on the Hill Greek advocate Mark Stein said that he doesn't know of any affiliated fraternities receiving citations last weekend. Despite the growing number of cases, people are still getting out and voting in person on Election Day. NewsTeam's Kylie Westhoff has more on how you too can vote safely.
That's right, Chloe. As you said, cases are on the rise following Halloween weekend in Boulder County, but don't worry because in-person voting locations are taking measures to prevent the spread of virus through voters. Here in Boulder, there are 2 locations on campus, Williams Village and here at the UMC. Before entering any voting location, make sure to have that mask on so you can keep yourself safe while you exercise your rights as Americans. Inside the building, voting materials are sanitized after every use, and there are markings on the floor to make sure people stay 6 feet apart. Also, the City of Boulder has online resources to help minimize contact in the voting process. If you have a Colorado driver's license or ID card, to save time and minimize that contact, you can register online several hours before visiting a vote center. You can also request a ballot to go. These are available for first-time ballot requests until 6 p.m. on Election Day. There are just a few hours left to cast your vote in Colorado, so make sure you get to your nearest polling station and know that you will be protected from COVID-19 in the process. I'm Kylie Westhoff, NewsTeam Boulder.
Thank you, Kylie. Traveling during the pandemic is still a very risky affair. A plane departing from New Delhi, India, landed in Wuhan with 23 positive passengers. 19 of them were asymptomatic and placed into quarantine. The others were taken to the hospital. Also, U.S. cruise lines have canceled sailing until the end of 2020. Cruises were initially canceled by the CDC, but were set to resume on December 1st. Cruise lines put out statements saying that they are working with the CDC on when they will be able to start again safely. Is it finally time to start layering, or will the warmer weather continue? We'll let you know when we come back.
Colorado is a wonderful state. We have sweeping plains, lively cities, and the Rocky Mountains. We also have the flu. Flu can be serious. Last year, nearly 5,000 Coloradoans were hospitalized with flu. That's the population of Breckenridge. The flu vaccine can keep you at work, in school, and out of the hospital. Flu vaccines save lives. Do yourself, your community, and all Coloradoans a favor and keep enjoying wonderful Colorado. Get your flu vaccine today.
Welcome back to NewsTeam Boulder. I'm Courtney Aitken. It is Tuesday, November 3rd, Election Day, and whether you voted or not, we are all part of our nation's climate today and going forward. With that, let's get into our weather forecast. Right now here in Boulder, we're looking at clear skies and a good amount of sun. Today's high will be 73 degrees. We're looking at some gentle southeasterly winds coming through today at about 5 miles per hour. Tonight, as we reveal our new president, we'll see those winds kick up to around 9 miles per hour. Temperatures will cool down to about 45 degrees by sundown. Some good news for you today. Our local air quality is sitting nicely at 7 AQI, Air Quality Index. And if you can remember, the closer we can get this number to 0, the better the air that we are breathing in. So an AQI of 7 is certainly something we can appreciate. Now the good news continues because as for the rest of the state, the air quality is looking very healthy throughout. Now we can only see really one exception area right here around Greeley, maybe about 50 AQI, maybe just above that. And maybe we blame the cows for that one, I'm not sure. But let's talk about the improvement in air quality for the state of Colorado as a whole. As you may know, it has been a particularly difficult year in terms of wildfires. Here we have a map of all the different wildfires our state has seen this season. Now, the good news here is that many of these have actually been fully contained, which is why we're seeing such a dramatic improvement in our air quality. As for those that have not been contained, we'll take a closer look at Cameron Peak, Calwood, and the East Troublesome Fire. So zooming right in on the area just northwest of Boulder, there are a few different things going on. The left-hand canyon fire closest to us has actually been fully contained. Further north, the Calwood fire is a newer addition to the map. It started October 17th. It takes up over 10,000 acres and is now at 76% containment, so not bad. It has also not grown over the past several days. It's no longer producing large amounts of smoke, and this also contributes to better quality for us in Boulder in terms of our air. The East Troublesome Fire, now this one is a bit bigger, takes up nearly 200,000 acres of national forest. The Rocky Mountain National Forest actually closed this past week due to this fire. Currently, it's only contained at 36%. Moving further north, just outside of Fort Collins, is our state's largest wildfire this year and to date. The Cameron Peak wildfire, over 200,000 acres in size. Fortunately, the containment has just reached 89%, so we are well on the way to having this blaze fully under control. At the national level, wildfires continue to pose a threat only to really the western half of the country. As you'll see in a moment, this largely corresponds to the air quality we see in this part of the country versus the East Coast. We do have a red flag warning right in northern South Dakota. This means that conditions are ideal for wildfires to start anywhere in this small area, but it looks like nothing has popped up yet. Circling back to air quality, as you can see, much of the nation is green, indicating a healthy AQI value. Of course, the question today is whether our nation will be red or blue come this evening. Speaking of which, in her segment yesterday, meteorologist Miri Marshall of Channel 9 News Washington spoke about exactly how our weather forecast could influence the results of tonight's election. According to statistics, warmer temperatures have historically meant that more Americans are willing to get out there and vote. Data also suggests that hotter temperatures cause voters to vote for the president currently in office. This is a result of the excitation transfer theory. As for rain and snow, statistics show that voter participation tends to be lower. It has also been reported that there are increased votes for the Republican Party during cold, damp weather patterns. Now, whether there is actually a correlation to these statistics, we will find out tonight, but for now, let's take a look at our national forecast. We are seeing some rain in a few small pockets of the nation, the Pacific Northwest, right around Seattle, Portland, scattered thunderstorms in central Utah. Other areas you may need an umbrella are small parts of Arizona, Colorado, and right off of the coast of Florida. Further north on that same coastline, we're looking at a pretty major cold front coming in. Places like Boston, New York, and Pittsburgh will definitely be needing a jacket today. As for the rest of the nation, though, things are pretty hot and dry. As a matter of fact, here's a look at some of today's high temperatures across the U.S. Rainy Seattle, just below 60 degrees, Redding at a balmy 80 degrees. The only thing hotter than that on this map is Tucson at 91 degrees. Seeing a lot of 70s in the central states, 59 is going to be the high in our nation's capital today. With that cold front swooping down on the northeast, the high in Boston is actually pretty low at 45 degrees. Denver sitting at 77 degrees for our high today. Now let's zoom in to the greater state of Colorado. It is pretty typical of our state to have these warmer pockets of air on the east side. Everything from Pueblo over, it's a lot of high 70s and 80s. If we cross over Interstate 25, we get to all the more mountainous regions that are higher elevation and have cooler temperatures. Places like Vail, Aspen, Glenwood Springs are going to be anywhere between 40 and 66 degrees. Tomorrow, at least on the western half of the state, we'll see temperatures drop even more. Along 37 is going to be our range along the Rio Grande River. Down here, we have 36 degrees. Moving forward to Thursday, a slight warm up for the Rocky Mountains, just by a few degrees though. But on the other side of the state, we're seeing the opposite. 78 is the highest temperature we'll see. The warm air mass temporarily moves out, and then the next day, Friday to end your week,
colder temperatures return to the mountains, 33 near Ouray. Grand Junction just escapes the cold snap here at 71 degrees, and we have another pocket of warm air moving in on the eastern part of the state. Now back to Boulder. Looking at tomorrow, our high is going to be 70, so just a little bit of a decrease from today, a little bit more sun. As you can also see, the winds will calm down just by a little bit, and our low goes down to about 44 degrees. Looking forward at the rest of the week, we're looking at 71 degrees for our high on Thursday. Temperatures will slip down to 43 that evening, but you know what? Things are looking pretty sunny for the rest of the week. Friday gets a little bit cooler at 69. Saturday 64 with a low of 31 that evening. And actually on Sunday evening, we are looking at a chance of snow. So we'll see if that happens, but for now, make sure you get out there and vote. We'll see what happens, and when we come back, we'll take a look at some more coronavirus and election stories.
Coming up, does Boulder have its very own great pumpkin? Stay tuned to find out. It's the Great Pumpkin Boulder. The Boulder Daily Camera reported one local pumpkin fanatic, Stuart Mann, has grown not one, but two massive pumpkins this year. Mann says the two each weigh between 400 and 500 pounds and took a 20 by 40 foot backyard space to grow. Mann says it all starts with the pedigree seeds, which he buys from a professional pumpkin grower. This year, the seeds came from pumpkins that weighed 2,100 and 1,900 pounds to make his masterpiece. We have a real live Charlie Brown in our midst, Boulder. That's it for us on this special edition of NewsTeam Boulder. Stay healthy and happy Election Day, Boulder.